Hello book lovers, I am Khodakivska. This is Cat Joseph the Great Reader. Welcome on our channel. Well, as holidays are creeping up on us, I decided to sum up my bookish year and tell you about the books that touched me, impressed me and dropped an anchor in my bookish soul. So let's get it started. Well, before I start talking about my bookish preferences in 2018, I would like to tell you that all these books are my #1 in 2018. And as I had already told you about all of them in my previous videos, this time I will give you just a brief description of each of these books. And one more time, everything I'm saying in my videos is just my humble opinion, because I do understand that so many people, so many opinions. The first book that I really loved this year is The Horse Dancer by Jojo Moyes. Well, I loved all and everything about this book. I loved the presence of several storylines. I loved that this book was really dynamic, full of twists, wise quotes and light humor. I found out a lot of interesting facts about horses. It seems to me that writer carried out really great research before writing this book. Well, if you love romantic comedies and you're a horse lover, you will love this book. The second book that touched my heart once again, because I read it several years ago and this year I decided to reread it. Well, this book is La Première Jour, La Première Nuit de Marc Levy, or The First Day, The First Night by Marc Levy. Well, this book is a perfect mix of a novel, thriller and adventurous stories. Well, in this book you will not only be a witness of a love story of main characters, but you have a brilliant opportunity to take part in archaeological expedition or to discover night sky as astrophysician. Moreover, you can virtually travel around the globe. Also, this book is full of historical and geographical facts. Well, guys, if you are a person of adventurous spirit and you love romantic stories, romantic comedies, and you love dynamic books, you will love this book. La Première Jour, La Première Nuit, The First Day, The First Night by Marc Levy is a really awesome book. The third book that really blew my mind is Mrs. Sinclair's Suitcase by Louise. It's really incredible historical novel about love for men, women, kids, life and books. You know, guys, if you love historical novels and you're really obsessed with books and writing, you will love this book. It's really incredible book that dropped an anchor in my heart. Well, the next book that I really like this year is When I Find You by Emma Curtis. I found out this author for myself a year ago. I read her first book, One Little Mistake, and really loved it. That's why I waited impatiently for her second book, this one, When I Find You. And my intuition was bloody right, this book is incredibly good. This is a perfect psychological thriller. This is a story about a girl who suffers from face blindness and she gets into a real mess due to this fact. How she will fix all this mess, will she be back on the track and will she get her life back, and how she will do it, all these answers you can get on the pages of this perfect psychological thriller, really dynamic, mesmerizing, absorbing book. Oh, well, the next book that really impressed me this year, I can say that this is my bookish discovery in 2018. This is Mademoiselle Numéro 11 by Kim Chi Pho, or Miss Number 11 by Kim Chi Pho. This book is definitely available in English, so you can enjoy reading it in English. Well, this is a perfect autobiographical novel. This is a story about a girl, actually about stages of life of little girl since her early childhood up to her grown-up years. This little girl has a secret. She told about this secret to her parents in her childhood and regretted it deeply. Since then, she keeps her mouth shut and tells this secret only to those who she trusts the most. Well, I cried a lot while reading this book because there are a lot of tough life situations in this book, but I also laughed out loud while reading this book because it's really full of awesome humor. Well, if you love French writers and you love autobiographical novels and you want to discover a new author for you, Kim Chi Pho and her Mademoiselle Numéro 11 is definitely what you need. Well, the next book I'm going to tell you about that really touched my heart is Beartown by Fredrik Backman. Having finished reading this book, I understood that from now on, Fredrik Backman, this talented Swedish writer, is officially among my favorite writers. Because, it seems to me that this book is a really one big quote. You see how many page markers do I have in this book? This book is really touching, absorbing, mesmerizing. There are a lot of topics that can be discussed after reading this book. This book is really multifaceted. For me as a mother, kids' topic was particularly interesting to read. I cried a lot, really cried a lot while reading this book, and I know that there is a sequel to this book and I can't wait to read it. If you still haven't read Beartown by Fredrik Backman, you should read it because it's really good. By the way, I haven't read so much about hockey as in this book, and there are a lot of a sort of advice concerning raising children in this book. So, bookish mom, it seems to me it will be particularly interesting to read this book for you. Well, Fredrik Backman and his Beartown is really powerful and mind-blowing book, on my humble opinion. Well, the next book that made me cry a lot this year is The Book Thief by Markus Zusak. Well, I know that most of you had read this book and cried a lot while reading it, but if you still haven't read this book, you should read it because it's really good, it's really great. This is a perfect story about little girl named little Memen girl. She faces all the troubles and sufferings of World War II, but she is obsessed with writing and reading. Writing and reading saved her life. How and in what way, you can find all answers on the pages of this magnificent book. The next book I will tell you about is another brilliant romantic comedy by Marc Levy, Une Fille Comme Elle, or A Woman Like Her by Marc Levy. I know that this book is available in English, so you can find it in English and enjoy reading it in English. This is a really cute love story about a girl who lives in New York and a young businessman from Mumbai. How their love story will develop and under what circumstances, you can find out on pages of this fantastic romantic comedy by Marc Levy. Well, the next book in my bookish preferences 2018 is The Thirst by Jo Nesbø. Jo Nesbø is a Norwegian writer. He's my favorite writer in crime fiction genre. I'm really in love with the main character, Harry Hole. And I'm really waiting impatiently for the next book with Harry Hole as the main character. Well, this book is about, as to synopsis, a woman is found murdered after an internet date. The marks left on her body show the police that they are dealing with a particularly vicious killer, and only Harry Hole is able to cope up with this murder. Well, how Harry Hole will cope up with this investigation, under what circumstances, you can find out on the pages of this perfect psychological thriller. One more book that made my heart melt this year is another book, another brilliant comedy by Marc Levy, Mes Amis, Mes Amours de Marc Levy, All My Friends, My Love, by Marc Levy. I told you that I'm a huge fan of books by Marc Levy, that's why don't be surprised. Well, I know that there is a movie based on this book, so you have an opportunity to watch it and compare which one is better, movie or fiction. Well, this is a spectacular story about two lonely guys who lose their hope in love. They are fathers and they decide to move in together and to bring up their children together. Will these two charming fathers find their loves, and whether they succeed in bringing up their children in the right way? All these answers you can find on the pages of this book, this brilliant romantic comedy, awesome romantic comedy by Marc Levy, Mes amis, mes amours, oh my friends, my love, by Marc Levy. Well, book lovers, I do hope that my video was informative for you, and maybe one of these writers will become one of your favorite ones and you will enjoy reading their books as much as I did. Meanwhile, Cat Joseph, the great reader, and me wish you happy holidays. Thank you for watching our videos, this one in particular. See you next year. Bye!